For those of you guys who follow me on TikTok, I know you guys know that I talk my shit. Like, I talk a lot, maybe a little bit too much sometimes. This is something that I've always told myself when coming back because I've been doing social media and creating content on TikTok for a while and I took a huge break. I feel like I've always told myself that I would want to do it my way and not try to fit a mold in trying to force myself to please like an algorithm. The bottom line was like, be yourself. Like, I really want to enjoy doing this. I don't want this to become a burden. Like, I want to go into this having fun. There's things that I hate about TikTok, but there's also things that I love about TikTok. It came at a really good time in my life. It was this new thing that I could try, but like quickly, I think I fell into that loop of like consuming content and consuming short form content. I've come to the realization of the damage that had on my brain and the way that I was thinking and the way I was going, even about my creative process. It changed so many things. The thing that I enjoy the most is making long form content. That's where I can let my creativity shine. I don't know. To me, it feels more natural than just trying to condense everything in a 1 minute video or like 30 seconds, because that's what you're told. Your video has to be like between that, and if it doesn't, it's not gonna work. Well, there's so many rules about social media. We're gonna scrap all of that. So baby, you guys are in for a treat. Let's fucking go.
Hanging off my earlobes is a rock, rock, rock. Hanging off my waistline is a Glock.
In this video, I want to talk about my creative process. I think that's the essence of why I create content and the way I create my content. And I know you guys have a lot of questions about this. I'm going to spill all the tea. How I made my intro, what I used to edit my videos, what I used to record. I started this series on TikTok. Why do I never wear this? I'm starting a new series. I don't know what got into me when I bought this. I love this. J'adore. J'adore. For which I made an intro.
Hanging off my earlobes is a rock, rock, rock.
This video is not gonna be a hands-on tutorial, like step by step. It's really not the point of this. I'm more gonna share the tools that I use to creating. I am gonna give you insights. I'm gonna give you guys all the tips on my creative journey, and I'm really hoping this will be helpful for you guys. I'm gonna break this video down into 5 parts, which essentially this is my rule of 5 when it comes to creating. We're gonna start by mindset, then we're gonna go into everything related to concepts, ideas, then mood boarding, inspiration, then the big part is creating, which to me this is one of the smallest part when you've done everything before. And then the last part is gonna be what I call confidence, which I will explain later on what I mean by that. We're gonna start by talking about your mindset. As a creative, it's really easy to have the imposter syndrome. I'm like sometimes call myself my biggest op. Because I'm a perfectionist, sometimes I kind of restrain myself from actually creating and putting what I want out there. For me, it was important to understand that I could create and focus on making something perfect later on. There's no such thing as being perfect from the start. I could take my content journey, for example. I hate that I'm quoting Drake right now.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
It is literally like that, because when I look back, it was never perfect. All of that was me trying. So that's what you need to do. You need to stop trying to be perfect and actually just try to create. That's how you get better. That's how your skills get better. And that's how you're gonna unlock your creative style as well. It's all through trial and errors. When I look back at when I first started in graphic design and I look at what I used to do and what I do now, it's 2 very different things. The same way that when I started editing videos, it's 2 very different things. But I would never be here where I am today if I didn't go through all of that. I also wanted to add something because I feel like I also was really confused about, I didn't make any difference between doing things perfectly and then doing things well. To me, it was like, in order to do things well, it had to be perfect, but it's really not the case. And like the second I was able to like make a difference between both, it helped me so much, because I was like, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I can try to do things well, and then later on I can focus on making it perfect. All of that to say that when you're creating, you need to leave room for imperfection. When you're creating a project, rather than being like, oh, I want this to be perfect, try to have fun while creating it. Like, it's the most simple thing that I could say right now, but it really is about that. I think this whole mindset thing to me is more about letting go and letting yourself create and trusting that. I think this is a big thing. Trusting yourself enough to create. Because I feel like my issue back in the days is, and I still have this issue. Like, honestly, I don't know why I'm talking like this was 5 years ago. It's trusting myself enough to create. And this is why I was saying that I'm my biggest op sometimes. Let's say I want to do something, I want to create something, and my brain is just going to be like, I can't do that. And because I'm telling myself I can't do that, I'll never take the steps to get there. We're now going to talk about concept and ideas, which this is my favorite thing ever. I have the biggest tip that I could have for coming up with concept and ideas. Like, this is what I want you to do. You have to get a notebook. I want you to grab whatever notebook that you have, something that you can carry, preferably small, so you can carry it everywhere. Because this, I always have it with me. Because, and I think this, all of these parts are linked with each other. This is one thing that you guys are going to notice. I was saying that I'm my biggest op, and that I tell myself sometimes that I can't do things. This is what cured it for me. You need to write every single thing down. And I'm not talking about journaling. Like, journaling is fun. This is kind of a journaling but for ideas, okay? Every idea that you have. And before you can tell yourself that it's stupid, it's dumb, and it's not going to work out, I want you to write it down in that notebook. You have to write it. To me, the mind is very interesting. As much like you can hype yourself up, it's very easy to bring yourself down. And it's also very easy to forget things when you just keep them in your head. And I find it so much easier to write all of my ideas down in that notebook so I can kind of like keep them organized, but also to leave some room for your ideas to breathe and marinate. Because sometimes you might have a small idea that you think is dumb or is the most stupid thing you could ever come up with. And sometimes these stupid ideas, they're the starting point of a bigger idea. Sometimes it's just like a seed that it's like kind of seed like that. It's a seed that you're like planting. And then after you're going to let your flower grow and your plant grow and like bloom into this pretty flower. I don't think there's any such thing as, creating something perfect from the start. And so you have to let yourself create. So in that whole process of letting yourself create, put down your ideas, write them, and then you can go back whenever you have time after a few days and with a step back, be like, oh, this idea is not entirely bad, but it's also not the best. So there is room for improvement. There is a way to make it better. And then it's how do I make it better? This is my favorite part of like creating. It's coming up with concept, coming up with ideas. You need to take this everywhere with you. At least for me, this is how it works. I never get ideas when I'm trying to force ideas out of my head. It's really while I'm doing things during the week. It's so funny because I would be doing the most random thing. You could do an activity that could trigger. That's what happens to me sometimes. I could be doing something else that triggers an idea and then I write it down and then it turns into a bigger idea. And that's how it all started with my series on TikTok. Why do I never wear this? I was literally doing a closet clean out for a closet sale when this idea first came to my mind and I wrote it down. The idea wasn't even there yet. It was a small point that was like, oh, overconsumption. It was just a small point that would be fun to talk about. And then I let it sit, I let it marinate, and I did. And it turned into this bigger idea. And then watch how I turn it into a full series. I think it's really good to create sometimes when you have the idea right away. But I think for my creative process, you have to find as well what works for you. I think what works best for me is sometimes giving room for my ideas to breathe. I think that's when they come out the best, really. This is a technique that you guys should use, even if you're a social media content creator. Like, whatever you do, this will make your life so much easier. And think about your mind like a computer desktop. It can get really cluttered if you have so many files all over the place and it's hard to find what you're looking for. Once you start organizing them in like folders, it becomes easier. And I don't know, to me, having an empty desktop, to me, it's like having my mind clear. I don't know if this makes sense. I think my other big thing about getting ideas and concepts is really talking with people. Talk with your friends. I do this all the time. Talk with your friends about your ideas. I'm not saying to talk about it with everyone because you don't need like 100,000 opinions because then it's just going to confuse you even more. I have specific friends where we have these discussions sometimes and I always leave feeling more inspired after, which is the best feeling ever. And it's like talking about your ideas and things that you're not sure about. Sometimes you come to a lot of realizations. Because I know this whole thing about like moving in silence, not saying anything to anyone. I'm really not like that. Like, oh, once I'm excited about something, I'm going to talk about it. Well, you don't need to talk about it to everyone, but it could just be pitching some ideas to your friends and just hearing what they think about it. Notice how I didn't say that I was going on Pinterest to find ideas, because this is bringing me to my next step where we're going to talk about mood boarding and inspiration. I love Pinterest so much. I use Pinterest to organize my life on a daily basis. When I go on a trip, I make a Pinterest board. I have a Pinterest board about food inspiration. I have a mood board for basically everything. There's a specific way to go into, I think, finding inspiration on Pinterest. I also like sometimes to get out of this, which I made a video on TikTok about this. I like having my ideas and then looking for inspiration. I don't use Pinterest as a way to find ideas because it's really easy to fall into that copying mechanism. And sometimes you won't even realize it, but you're copying something that's already out there. I really focus on finding my ideas, building my concepts. And then once I have my ideas and I know what I want to do, that's when I allow myself to go on Pinterest and look for visuals, inspiration. As we said, inspiration, because we're not trying to copy. This is one thing that I will say though. I don't think getting inspiration from anything is wrong. We all have different capacity when it comes to creativity. To me, if you're gonna copy something or take inspiration without changing anything, to me, it's really important to give credit. And I think this is something that I see a lot on social media too, even when it comes to content creation. I've seen people come up with thoughts, okay? And then you see people say the same thing, exact same thing, bars for bars. If you're gonna do that, you should be ashamed to say outright that someone is inspiring you. And I think this is the right thing to do, because there's a thin line today falling into copying and then like inspiration. But if someone truly inspired you to do something, why would you not want to say that? Which is something that I find like very frustrating, because a lot of people put a lot of work into their contents and a lot of people see themselves to their content in a way that it reflects their personality. And it's really frustrating when someone comes and take that piece of content without giving credit where it's due. So if that's one thing that you're going to do, I really preach giving credit to people. I always think it's better to say it out loud rather than not saying it, because that's when it's a little bit like fishy. If you're inspired by someone, just say it. To come back on the whole Pinterest, I really like to allow myself, as I said, to room to come up with my own ideas and then after look for inspiration. And even sometimes I like just going straight away to like filming a video, or if I'm gonna edit something or create a logo, sometimes I like doing it without having any inspiration. I think sometimes having a lot of like references and like mood boards, it can also constrain. I don't know if that's a word, guys. I'm French, so sometimes I have a hard time. Your creativity. Sometimes having too many inspirations or like too many reference things, it's kind of like suffocating in a way. This brings me back to the next part, creating. When I'm talking about letting yourself have enough room to create, creativity is really, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. Like really, it's like a playground where you don't have any rules. You can do whatever you want to do. That's the thing. Comes back to the mindset thing that I was talking about earlier. There is no rules. That's a mindset that you should have too. There is no rules when it comes to creating, to me. in the sense that that's when you have the most fun and that's where you give yourself enough room to try things. I feel like when I first started creating on social media, I felt like I had to do what everyone else was doing. I had to do vlogs, I had to go to Pilates, I had to drink matcha, all of that. No, you absolutely don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. And frankly, no one really cares about that. If you want to build a community, I don't think that's the right way to do it. When you have a personality, and I think every single person has one, you need to trust yourself and trust into your abilities to create. When it comes to creating, I'm gonna dabble into the tools that I use because I got a lot of questions about how I made my intro. And as I said, this is not gonna be a how-to where I'm gonna do a tutorial and show you guys exactly how I edited my intro because honestly, guys, it's really not hard to do. So the famous intro. Why do I never wear this?
Hanging off my earlobes is a rock, rock, rock.
Oh my god, this was too good. I think when it comes to any editing that I try to do, you gotta get, there's three really important things: visuals, song, typography. I'm not gonna go into a tutorial on how I made this just because it's really not that hard. It's a sequence of clips that are curated though. You have to, this is how I organized myself when I was making that intro. I made a folder with all the potentially cool clips that I liked. Damn, guys, I just had an idea. I'm sorry, I need to write it down. I basically made a folder, put all the clips that I thought were cool that I had of me. I knew that I really wanted to do something fashion focused, and I had so many videos that I shot. Some are from my phone, some are from my camcorder, and I just put all of this into a folder. I can't edit without a song. Like, I need a song because I like editing to the beat and I like to have the vibe. The reason why this intro is so good is because I have a good catchy song. There's a lot of songs out there, but this song, I've been plotting on this for years, guys. This song has been downloaded on my computer and I've been waiting to use it. And it's like when I started making the intro and I was like, what song it's like it lit up. I love instrumental. I love beats. In another life, I wish I could be a beat maker, DJ, whatever. It's something that I appreciate so much and admire. I love music in general. Shout out to IMAX who made the remix of 10 Freaky Girls, because the full song is even better than that. And then my last thing was I wanted a funny and unique font typo that I could use and that could be very recognizable. And I think that's where the concept comes in mind, because I think other than having a cool font, why do I never wear this? And I'm using that question mark as a logo later on the video because to me, this is where the strength of the concept of why do I never wear this comes from. To me, asking you a question and you're like, I don't know, why do you never wear this? You need to find a good song, you need to gather clips, visuals, and then find a concept to wrap everything together. That doesn't require crazy editing skills at all. I think what makes that intro good is the song and the concept, most of it. And for everything that comes to technical part, there's so many like YouTube tutorials out there on how to edit, whether you're using CapCut, whether you're using Final Cut Pro, whether you are using Adobe Premiere Pro, it doesn't matter. But I understand that editing is not the easiest thing for everyone. And there's so many resources out there. Go on YouTube, teach yourself how to use those softwares, because once you learn how to use these, you can create so many nice things. Like really, and learn how to make your content personal as well. And there's so many videos out there on YouTube that teaches you how to use like editing softwares, which I think you should look into if you don't know how to edit. Talking about software brings me back to talking about what softwares I use personally. So I'm big on Final Cut Pro because to me, it's very beginner friendly. An alternative to Final Cut Pro is probably like CapCut. I think it's the same thing. I tend to use Adobe Premiere Pro when it comes to long form of like content, or when I'm trying to like edit and I have multiple cameras. For me, Adobe Premiere Pro is more useful on that side. Usually for my TikToks, I use Final Cut Pro. Sometimes when I feel like I want to do something a little bit more advanced, that's the keyword, I go to Premiere Pro because it allows me also to do the back and forth between After Effects, which I really love. For when it comes to material, what I use to film, I mainly film all my videos on my phone. I do not use a camera. Like most of my videos were filmed on my iPhone 15 Pro Max with the back camera. This is the key to having a good crisp quality, is you need to use your back camera. You need to use your back camera, and I usually film in cinematic mode, which gives me that really nice blurry background behind my videos that might make you think that I'm filming with a camera, but I'm not. That's what I do. Back camera, cinematic mode, and I film in 4K. It requires you to have a lot of storage though. But since we're talking about storage, this is my most precious thing. Hard drive. Having hard drives is so important, especially when you're working with a lot of video editing. I just store a lot of things in this. And recently I literally learned that I knew this, okay, because I was doing this on my iPad, but I never thought about doing this on my phone. But I plugged my hard drive into my phone and I was able to move a 1 hour, 30-minute video from my phone to my hard drive. Sometimes I just store my libraries when editing on Adobe Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro on my hard drive. I don't even store them on my computer because sometimes it becomes too heavy and I can just edit and it doesn't lag. Let's talk about this mic that I'm using right now. I use the Rode Wireless Go 2. I got them last year and honestly, like I've been like using them so much that to me it was really worth the price. It basically comes with a transmitter that's plugged into my phone right now. I have 2 microphones with which I film. I also got the charging case that came with it, so I can just put everything back in the case. It's like an AirPod case, basically. So it's just gonna charge my microphones. So this is basically what I used to create, and bring me to the last part of this video. I was talking about confidence. To me, it takes a lot of confidence to share what you're making online. And like if I take myself, for example, my first episode of Why Do I Never Wear This, I almost didn't post that video. I almost didn't post that video because I was too worried about, I felt like it wasn't good enough. I think it takes a lot of confidence to put something that you create out there in front of so many people. And I want to say to everyone out there who's like trying to share their work online, start creating content, whatever it is that you want to do, don't be afraid to do it and have the confidence to do it. And it takes a lot of confidence to do it. But once you do it, I think it's the most rewarding feeling to be able to share a piece of yourself with the world. It takes a lot of strength. It's not something easy to do. It's really not. Especially on the internet today, when I truly think that in terms of opportunities, it's really important to put yourself out there and to never be afraid of doing it. This is why when I'm talking about confidence, like you really need to stop trying to fit into the mold of like trying to be like everyone else. Have that confidence to step outside of the mold and say, okay, I'm going to do things my way and I'm going to share what I want to share regardless of what people are going to think. I think it takes a lot of confidence to do that. I think this is a good way to end this video. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know I talked a lot, and hopefully this video is helpful to other people. Hopefully this inspires all the people as well. I'm really excited because this is the first video of so many, like I'm telling you guys, and I'm excited for this journey. I can't wait to create more videos. I'm feeling so creative lately. I'm recharged. I just came back from a trip, which you guys can expect a video about this very soon.
Hanging off my waistline is a Glock.